we're going to go to the steering system. We're going to talk about specific parts of the steering system. So you have the steering arm. Steering arms is the right side and attaches the tie rod to the wheels, and the left side attaches to the drag link. And the steering wheel controls the direction of the vehicle, and it connects and turns the steering shaft. And then the steering wheel shaft connects the steering wheel to the steering gearbox. Then you have the rod, so the tie rod. The tie rod connects the front wheels together and adjusts their operating angle. And then the spindle is another part of the steering system as well. The drag link. The drag link transfers movement to the pitman arm to the left steering system. And then we have the steering ring knuckle as another part that's connected to it. You have the pitman arm, and that's connected to the steering gearbox and moves the drag link. Then you have the steering gearbox. The steering gearbox transfers the turning of the steering shaft to the pitman arm. Overall, the steering system gives you directional control of the vehicle. And the steering wheel, be mindful of, is the steering wheel cannot have movement more than 10% of the wheel's diameter, or no more than 2 inches of play in a 20-inch wheel, because this will indicate either excessive wear or damage to one of the components or parts. And then when you're inspecting the steering system or components, you want to check the condition of the steering shaft, look for worn U-joints in the steering shaft, and you want to check for loose steering gearbox mounting parts. And then if you notice or see a defect in the pitman arm, if the pitman arm moves separately from the steering shaft coming out of the steering gearbox, you want to be mindful and make note of that. And you also want to look for any non-rotational movement at the ball and socket joint. And if there's any damage to the actual steering component of the steering system. Now, when you're inspecting the ball and socket joints within the steering system, the ball and joint socket joints are found at the end of the pitman arm. Now, the ends of the drag link, it's the steering linkage that takes the steering action to the upper steering arm that turns the left tire itself. Then the tie rod, it takes the steering action from the left lower steering arm to the lower steering arm that turns the right tire itself. Now, be mindful to inspect the castle nuts. Castle nut is a nut that has notches in it that allows the cotter pin to be placed through it. And that is in order to help secure the actual nut itself. Then you want to make sure all of the castle nuts, so it helps hold it in place. Make sure that they are holding the ball and socket joints in place. Have the cotter pins itself in place. It's a cotter pin, you can see it. They're like nuts and bolts, but they're cotter pins. It's a certain type of a nut or pin. So you want to check the ones that are holding the steering arms onto the right and left steering assemblies or steering parts or mechanisms. And note, if you have a mechanical problem during a pre-trip or during the work day, do not operate the vehicle until it is addressed or resolved. Hey, BET Trainer here. Listen, if you really had true value out of this video, go ahead and click that like button and share some honest comments about this video, because this is going to help other people as well see the video and get the value information, so that way they can be inspired by what you're doing right now as well. So also, if you want to get the latest updates, go ahead and click the subscribe button, so then you can be able to always be updated on the next instant video that will be put out. So again, go ahead and do that. And this video was sponsored by BET Life Services and CDL for Life.